Hey guys, today we're going to talk about unlocking the full power of Groovebox. Out of the box you get a bunch of stuff all ready to go, but each instrument can go a lot deeper. So let's take a look at what you get when you unlock each one. For the Drumbox, you'll get the basic parameters as normal, but you'll also get access to advanced effect controls. Here you'll see global effects controls, and these are for the whole Drumbox instrument rather than specific drums. The length control changes the length of all the drums at the same time, which is great for changing between a tighter and more organic feeling. The filter will change the tonal content of the instrument, and the pitch control applies a pitch offset to all the drums to really make the sound your own and let it fit in better with other tracks in your session. You've got the delay send with time, amount and feedback. You've also got the reverb, which is just a global amount for the whole Drumbox. You've got distortion with pre and post filter positioning options and gain and feedback controls. Then you've got the global filter with the choice of low pass, band pass and high pass with the cutoff and resonance controls as you would expect. Next we got the pad specific parameters. You can tell this because the controls change color based on the color of the pad. So right now I've got the snare selected, so the controls are all green. You can change the sample length by grabbing this handle or change the volume and pan for each drum here. Here we can set the pitch offset for each drum. This control is often fundamental to getting the kit to sound the way you want, but we don't recommend going too crazy with it. We also have a pad specific set amount for the delay, so if you want you can just have the snare echoing, for example. We can also set choke groups. If you don't know what these are, basically any drum set to a choke will cancel any other drum also set to that choke. They basically stop two drums from being able to make sound at the same time. This is great for open and closed hi-hats, for example. So now let's move on to PolyEight. So here for the PolyEight, it's much the same story. You'll still get the essential parameters like distortion amount, glide, and filter controls on the first page. Then we got pitch for each oscillator, wave shape, and a mix control between the two, as well as the option to turn sync on and off. Next, you've got the filter controls, where you can choose the envelope amount, LFO amount, pre-filter distortion or warmth, resonance, and so on. Filtering is such an essential part of synthesis, so we've grouped all the relevant controls together here, so you can really dial in your sound. Next, you'll see our envelopes. This is a standard ADSR, and you can flip between the two envelopes using the switch at the top. The LFO retrigger reapplies the envelope in time with the LFO frequency. This is a brilliant way to add movement to your sounds and such a secret weapon for sound design. Now we have our LFO and VCA parameters. The LFO rate is set here using the period control. You can also shift the phase and choose to have the LFO retrigger every time you play a new note using this switch. The VCA controls give you a post-filter distortion and the gain setting as well. You can also choose which envelope will be tied to the VCA. This final panel here is where we set our reverb size, amount and tone, and dial in the delay parameters like the overall amount, time, feedback and ping pong effect. Right, next up, RetroBass. Again, the first panel gives us control of a lot of important parameters like the filter cutoff, oscillator 1, wave shape, distortion amount and a pitch octave control. Moving on from that, we've got a nice oscillator crossfader and individual oscillator pitch and wave shape controls. Then we have our filter controls. RetroBass is fixed with a low pass filter, but we can still dial in the pre-filter distortion or warmth, as well as change our envelope and LFO depth for the filter right here. For the envelope, we've again got a standard ADSR with nice big sliders so you can really dial in the shape that you want. And we can also assign this to both coarse and fine pitch for some crazy effects. In the LFO panel, we've got LFO to oscillator pitch controls, both coarse and fine, as well as the rate control, which is tempo synced. This can get pretty crazy, so we've added a reset button to get you back to a safe place. Then we got a post-filter distortion control, delay settings, and a gain control on the final panel here. So now let's take a look at MiniMon. So the MiniMon is something special. For a mono wavetable synth, it's capable of some truly out-of-this-world sound design, and a must-have if you're trying to push the envelope in your productions. So we got some nice overall crafting controls here right at the start, with a digital bit crush, detune, and filter on the first panel. Next, we got our wavetable controls. Firstly, we can choose the bank using these arrow buttons here, and then we can change the wavetable position of both oscillators using this special dial. We can also assign the LFO to modulate this position and assign the position to our envelope as well. Next up, nice and simple, we just choose our oscillator mix and octave control per oscillator. Then we have a graphical display of our 2 envelopes, which we can flick between with this 1 and 2 buttons. The little indicators on the side here allow us to quickly see which envelope is controlling what, as dictated by the rotating screen here. It's really nice to see a visual representation of our envelope shape with the moving graphics. Next is our filter with our pre-filter distortion, as we've seen in the other synths as well. On this next panel, we have delay and reverb specific controls, which we can flick between like this. We can also change our VCA envelope here so that we don't have to scroll all the way back to the other panel, and can also change the bit crush amount from here too. The final panel is our LFO controls, with a special vibrato control that routes a small amount of pitch to the LFO to give us a more analog and natural sound if we want. That's it! As we said, Groovebox can get pretty advanced, and we'll cover some more details on some sound design techniques in another video. But if you want to unlock the full power of Groovebox, the easiest way to do that is through the Pro Features bundle, and that will give you access to everything you've just seen me use. Thanks for watching, and happy music making.